We'll be taking a look at the HFC 1911 today. This is one I couldn't find a disassembly video on for either the upper or lower receiver, just for field stripping. And first off, I'm going to start with the tools you need. You're going to need tweezers, pair of pliers, and some Phillips head screwdrivers. I've got a big one here, and then I've got a small one here. So those are the tools you'll need. And then I've got two slides here. We're going to start with the slide assembly. So I have the HA. So I forgot to show you guys earlier how to get the slide apart and such. So all you have to do is push down on this nub on this side here, and then just kind of pry it out. This one's actually pretty easy, and then the slide should snap forward, and then it comes off. That's how you get it apart. 104 system. And then I have a newer one that I'm not quite sure what the model is. Well, you know what? Maybe it says so on the slide. A long barrel caliber 45. So I think this is basically every HFC 1911 that is spring operated. Anyway, let's get right into it. I've got one already assembled here, and I'm gonna have to say, if you have one with an orange tip, you're gonna need to take it off, and I mean like an extension orange tip. So if you have one, you're going to have to heat it up and then use a pair of pliers to rip it off. Same with this one. I'm not sure if I'll be able to take it apart completely. So we're going to do this one. Alright, first things first, we're going to start from the back. And we're going to start with, if it'll focus, please, is that back plate right here. And that's going to be our first target. What we're going to do is we're going to we're going to start from the back, and what you're going to do is, while keeping your hand over it, you're going to slightly bend the slide, or just like open it up with your fingers and just kind of bend it apart while keeping your hands over it. So go ahead and do that, and then all those parts are going to fly out. You've got this little cap thing here. There we go. So it's supposed to sit like that. There's a button to it, like a button part to it, and then that fits inside the spring. And then we have this black piece that sort of captures and acts as like a backstop for the recoil spring, or the piston spring. So once you've done that, you can take out the piston assembly, and then there's a piston head, but you can leave it in there unless you need to re-oil it. But this one looks to be in good shape, so I'm just going to slide it back in. And you want the tab facing upwards in that slot, like so. And then you can set the piston off to the side for now. Make sure you take a look, check for any cracks. This one's in good shape, thankfully. And then I'm going to put all of these components off to the side for now. We don't need them anymore. Alright, once you got those components out, the next thing you're going to do is take the side fangs off. I call them fangs because I don't know what they're called. So you're going to start with this one, and a spring is going to probably come loose and deactivate. And you're going to flex the other tooth around it, like so, and then remove. Make sure you don't lose that spring like I just did. So there's a spring, and then there is the tooth I was talking about earlier. And then at this point, you can remove this by rotating and pulling up, and then eventually the whole thing should come out. And then at this point you have the entire barrel assembly. And there's nothing that can be taken apart in the barrel assembly, unfortunately. There's the hop-up unit. I'm not sure how to replace it because there's no way to get this thing in half. So hopefully yours is good. So recoil spring, barrel assembly, and put those off to the side. Now you have a stripped down slide. There are no more removable components to it. And that is the slide. Now I'll show you how to put it back all together. Okay, now we're going to work in reverse, and the first thing you want to do is you want to set up the spring and then the fangs that go around it and hold it in place. And I'll show you how to do that. So let me just put this back down. Alright, before I get into the spring and trying to get that all back together, I'm going to show you the basic concept of what's going to happen. So you're going to flex the fang over the barrel like so. Just like that. You can bend it and flex it, and then you're going to get it onto the barrel, and then it's going to rest on it just like this. Alright, so what you want to do is have it facing with the short leg on the pointed towards you, like that. And then you are going to put it behind on top of that whole wheel thing, and then see if I can do it on camera here. Okay. Move it back. Oh wait, no. Sorry, I forgot. Okay. So you want it to be like that, and then you want the leg of the short spring going behind here, behind this little ledge on the fang. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, I got that. And then now you're going to make sure you hold it together. And then you're going to see this little bent piece of metal here. Let me see if there we go. There it is. See that? That bent piece of metal? That's what the long leg of the spring is going to go underneath. Alright. Now I'm going to lift the long leg while holding this together. I'm going to lift the long leg and put it through here, at that little spring, still captured behind this ledge. And if you got that and you can seal it all up and it moves on its own like that, you got it, you're golden. Fuck. Anyway, you got the idea. Alright, first thing that's going to go in is the barrel. So you're going to put recoil spring in no particular direction, and you're going to slide it on to the outer barrel, and then that's going to go down here, and then it's going to hit some blocks, and then you want to make sure you're keeping the fangs together, and then what you would do is you would just kind of wiggle it around, lift it up a little bit, I think turn it to the right, and it's going to pass the first barrier. You got to flex the slide a little bit too, flex it open, and then rotate right. Is it? Alright, so I'm down past the first barriers. The barriers are these little tabs in the gun that keep it from moving. I'll redo that just so you guys can see it. Once I get the barrel out, there we go. So here is the first set of barriers. Right where my fingernail is, the plastic ones. And then the second barrier is the one where my finger is, and it's only on one side. So I'm going to try again to do this. And then, now remember, holding together the fangs, because those can, like I said, they can still come out at this point. You're going to slide it in, just kind of wiggle it around until it goes in. Okay, try lifting up a little bit. Okay. Alright, there we go. Just like that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to tilt it left, put it back down, and then I'm past the first barrier, and then you're going to move it forward, tilt to the left, you may have to flex the slide a little bit. There we go. Okay, it's going. shit. Alright, there we go. Now it's... Oh my god, did that just happen? Oh, thank god it didn't. Okay. Now you can push it through all the way like it's supposed to, and then we can work on the piston pieces. Alright, so the piston pieces are a lot easier to do. Like I said, you've got the hardest parts of the gun down now. So now what you're going to do is make sure that your piston head is inside the piston, and then you're just going to stick it down the barrel like so. And then that's that. Then you want to make sure that you take a look, make sure you're lining it up with the middle of the barrel properly. It can go to the left or right, so you don't want to do that. So make sure, oh, there goes the piston head. So after making sure that it's going in directly like this, where is my, there we go. Okay, that's all done. Alright, so we only have 2 pieces left to do, and that is the cap for the piston spring, which is going to go into this spring here, like so. And you're going to stick it, this camera hates me, there we go, just like that, down into the barrel, and then push it all the way down. You have to have it going all the way down for the piston cap, this little end piece here. That looks like part of the slide, and then there's these 2 tabs here, come on, that the legs on, okay, one leg on the right there above my finger, and another leg right there above my thumb. So I'm going to turn it upside down, and then you're going to have to, oh, my foot's falling asleep. You're going to have to flex it a little bit into the slide, and you want to put it in from one side first. You don't want to try going all in at once. So, oh Jesus Christ. Okay, so the best thing to do is to hold the cap and push it down and contain the piston spring like I've just done here. And then pushing it, you're going to open up the slide a little bit with your fingers, and then, oh, Jesus Christ. And then you're going to try to get one of the legs into either side of the slide, like so. And you're going to hold it, and then you're going to notice that the plug is getting off center, and then it's kind of keeping the last leg from coming down. So you're going to need to straighten that out. And then this is a combination of flexing the slide and then lining up the retaining holes by flexing it side to side. Okay, I got one side there, but you can see the piston head is starting to get a little too far out. So we gotta push it down a little bit, and then we should be able to get the other side in, like so. Now we've got a stripped down frame, and I'm going to start putting it back together from start to finish. But while I go along, I'll be explaining what the parts do and how they interact with each other. So the first thing we're going to do is the trigger, and all you need to do to get the trigger in is, and you want there's the slanted part, and then there's like a top rounded part. You want the completely flat part to go facing downwards, because then that's going to put this, there's like a little ledge here. There you go. You can see that ledge. That has to go facing, it's got to be on the lower half. I'll just show it to you. Alright, so put it in through the back, route it in, and it goes. And then like so. So you want it to be facing the lower half of the gun. Right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the magazine catch after I change the ISO on my camera. Okay, now we're going to do the magazine catch. And what you have to do at this point is just flip the gun over and then put it in oriented like this. Oh wait, like that. Okay, you're just gonna drop it in, and then you might need to wiggle it around a little bit. You need to move the trigger too. Okay, and if it doesn't want to go in, what you want to do is get a flathead screwdriver, and then while holding it down, you want to move it to the left or to the right. Okay, to the right. Okay, let's try that. So I moved it to the right, and it's still not going in, so I think what we have to do is turn it to the left. Okay, let's see if that does anything. What is blocking it? Gotta find that. Okay, there we go. So you might have to flip the gun over and try to manually guide it from the other side. Now I'm going to tighten it. When I turn it to the right, that's going to make it lock, and then you can see I can press it like normal and it's going to bounce back and forth and activate. So that's that. And now what we're going to do is the very scary hammer assembly. So when you pull it out of the gun, it's going to be in this block, and then you're going to take a screwdriver, a Phillips, and you are just going to undo. The screw is, where is it? Where is it? Okay, so I didn't put it in, I guess, but I think there'd be a screw either right here or somewhere on this part. There's just one, so you, oh, it's right here. Okay. So I'm just going to undo this screw. And again, this is a Phillips. Make sure you don't lose your screws. There we go. Now turn it to the left and pull up on this black piece, and then you'll see the trigger assembly, or the hammer assembly. Now I'm going to pull it apart. We have the sear. We have, I think this is like some kind of disconnector. And then we have the actual hammer itself. And the hammer itself has a spring in the middle, which is right here. It's got a short and a long leg. Now I'm going to show you how to put this back together. Okay, so here's the frame all stripped down. And the first thing I'm going to put in is the hammer assembly. And how you're going to do that is take your hammer. Now the hammer's going to have that spring in there with it, and you want the short leg going towards the back, and then you're going to put it on this pin right here. You're going to line them both up. Do I have it? No. Might have to guide the spring around a little bit. Oh, I know, it's actually going past the pillar. I've got it too far ahead. See that? It's out of position. Okay, there we go. Alright. So there's the hammer. Now we're going to do the disconnector, which is this part right here. Now how you want to orient it is you want it to go like this, and then it's kind of hard to explain, but you want it to go, you want this peg that my thumb is on, the peg, or like right below, you want that peg to go into here. Sorry. You want that peg to go in here. Then what you're going to do now is you're going to put the long end of the spring while holding everything in place. I'm going to put the long end of the spring on that lowest peg right here, and it's going to, the long leg is going to go right behind this one. So I'm going to try to attempt that now. so you got a couple things to try and keep together, so this might be kind of hard. I've already taken out my thumbnail, or my fingernail on my thumb. Okay. Oh, shit. Alright, here we go. Alright, oh, come on. Push it down. I got it. That's how it's supposed to go. So, make sure it's all the way down. And then, voila. Now you're going to put the sear in, and it's going to go in, let's see here, it's going to go in like that, or like this, and it's going to go into the top. So what I'm going to do now, and it's going to go in this little hole right here, I'm going to put it in. There we go. Okay, so you have to push the disconnector down a little bit to get it in there, but that's how it's supposed to go. Just like that. Now you can put the frame on. Make sure you double check and make sure that peg is against the, or that arm, the leg is against the peg. Like that. And then now you can put the plate back on. How you're going to want to do that, let's see here, just like that. And then you got to kind of work everything around. You might have to work the assembly a little bit to get the plate to fit on. So I'm going to have to, I might have to activate the hammer itself. Okay. Oh. Oh. Alright, now I'm going to pull down on the hammer, see if that lets me get anything. Okay, there we go. I got it. So I got all three holes in here, or all three pins in the plate, and I'm going to flip it over. Let me adjust the focus a little bit. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to flip it over and put that teeny tiny little screw back in place with a Phillips screwdriver. Shit. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm going to screw this back in now. I'm so shaky. Fuck. Okay, get that screw back in. So how this works is the trigger pushes against the bottom of the disconnector here, and what happens then is it pushes and then it moves it back, and then voila. Uh-oh. What went wrong? Oh shit. Alright, so our plate came loose a little bit here. So I gotta go back in and figure out what the hell went wrong. Alright, so what's going on here? Why is this not wanting to come together? Ah, there we go. Okay, I got it, I think. Now I'm just going to push the sear in place now that it's... There we go. Okay, now I got it. Let me test it out real quick. Yes. Alright, we're good. Now I can screw it back up. Well, I already did that. Let's just screw it back in. Okay, get that screw back in there again. Alright, test it. Should be fully functional at this point. Voila. And you test it by pressing backwards on the disconnector. Okay, if it does that, you're good to go. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do now that we have our box back together is we're going to put it back in. And how you do that is by putting it back in. Literally, like so. Drop in. Alright, so we have our magazine catch in, triggers in, Next thing we're going to do is put the grip safety back in. Make sure the spring is here, and then that's where the lower ledge of the trigger is going to come in. Hard to see, but I'm touching it with the spring right now, kinda. That's why it has to be on the lower half, so that the mock grip safety can have its spring rest on it. So just kind of wiggle it around like so until it goes in. Next thing we're going to put on is the safety. Some of the older ones have one-piece safety. This one has a two because it's ambidextrous. And you're just going to take that side and then put it in through this hole here. Alright. Might have to push it in a little bit with some force, and then this should be captured by the safety grip. Okay, so test that, and then you can move on to the next part of the safety. And all you have to do for the next part of the safety is just put the other half on top. There. Okay, and then you're going to put that screw inside here. Now I can cock it and move the safety up and down on both sides. Now next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the hammer spring piece, which doesn't really do anything in this gun, but anyway, now what you're going to do is flex open the body a little bit, wiggle it in, then you got pinholes here and you got a screw hole right here. Line up the pinholes first, which as you can see I just did. Now you need to put the screw in there, which is a Phillips again. And I think these both have the same length of screw for the... Yep, they do. Okay. So I'm going to put both the body screw, or the mainspring screw, and then I have to put the trigger box screw in at the same time, because I can. They're the same screw, don't worry. So I'm going to go ahead and do both of those right now. Okay. So we're almost done, actually. All we have to do now are actually just a grip. So at this point you should have 4 big screws, and you just want to put those in their obvious slots. I'm sure you know where these go. Okay, so I have both of the grip panels on, and all I need to do now, oops, shit. All I need to do now is cock the hammer, make sure the slide is off, or the safety is off, and then I can put the slide back on. Come on. Oh, right, this isn't the right one. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now all we have to do now is just put the fake slide catch back in. And again, make sure that that hole lines up. You should be able to see right through it. And then just push it in. You're going to have to move the slide around a bit while you do it. And then it's going to go inside that little alcove where my thumb is. And just push it in. Alright. That's it. You now have a fully assembled HFC 1911. Now I'm going to test it and show you that it works. Alright, so I had an issue because I was using different parts from different guns, but I got one all together, and now I'm going to show you guys that it works. Good. Alright, so far so good. 646 is what I got last time. 164. 177. 180. 183. Getting higher. Let me adjust your focus a little bit, guys, sorry. Okay, 183, 164. So it hovers around 160, 180 FPS. Really low for an HFC gun, but they aren't known exactly for powerful spring pistols. I think the 1911 is probably one of their older designs, so, I mean, it kind of makes sense. So, that's how you do it. That's how you put back together the HFC 1911 system, and I hope this helped you guys out, but I'm probably not going to be taking this one out of the bag anytime soon. This was mostly just for documentation purpose.